Welcome to Stream Live Tampa tonight. This is episode 3 of our, I'm going to try to do it as a weekly show, stay in front of our fans and our audience out there. And we got myself, Jim Delaney, and Andrew Burdick is here. Andrew, you're on.
Pleasure.
There he is.
Hey, yo.
We're going Zoom for the first time tonight, and we also have our first guest. And one of our sponsors as well, and good guy in the area, David Sansom from GameTime Prospects organization. David, I think you're on as well.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for taking time to come out and join this show tonight. So, obviously with what's going on in the world, society, or country and stuff like that, we're all in different parts of the area. I think Andrew's in Apollo Beach.
Right, South Shore. Right.
Yeah, I'm in Valrico. David, where you're at? You're up.
I'm in New Tampa, up by Morton and Freedom.
Okay. Yep. And then our puppet master that we like to call him, Javier Nunez, our producer's down in, I believe that's Waimama or Riverview. And so we got a lot of the East Hillsborough County, North Hillsborough County represented, like we said, on our game telecast. And with everybody at home, with the county, with the stay-at-home order right now, a lot of different things that we've touched on in the past. The high school athletes, coaches, families, we know everybody's kind of itching to get back out to the fields and stuff like that. Yeah, and interesting with high school athletes. I know Andrew has talked about, has had a couple segments in the past about how to stay fit at home, different ways to be creative. Do AB Sports Performance. If you follow him on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, he posts a lot of great workouts on there. There are things like that high school athletes can be doing, because the saying is, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Right. And then I think we were talking, Florida High School Athletic Association executive director came out last week and said, the high school season for spring sports is still postponed. It's not officially canceled yet. I think we're all under the impression that's pretty likely it's going to be canceled. If and when that happens, kids need to be ready and ready to go, because those summer tournaments, those summer seasons start up whenever anything is lifted in the county. So, David, actually, let's kind of segue into that and what you do, your experience in the area, and then what kids should be doing, maybe now, as far as getting ready for the summer for high school teams and whatnot.
Yeah, just a little background on me. I coached at Armwood High School for 3 years, from 2012 to 2015. And then I started my own company, and then now here we are with the GameTime Prospects that just started in 2018, and we're moving forward on that. But I think what the big thing is, for these kids, is to stay ready, but at the same time, you got to stay with the guidelines of social distance and stuff like that to make sure you're not getting this virus that's causing ruckus across the country right now. So there's different things you might be able to do at home. Obviously, you can run, you can still lift, you can do, different workouts where you can still stay fit in your house, but at the same time, stay away from other people and all that kind of stuff. Because I know everybody's itching to get out in the fields, including myself and everybody else in the country. But whenever it's time to be ready, everybody will be out there, and obviously, we'll get the deadlines of when they come through. But, like you touched on the high school season, there's still a possibility. But to me, it'll be pretty tough to be able to, start that back up. Because, even for myself, when we start doing our tournaments, we're going to spend 2 to 3 weeks just practicing for 4 or 5 days a week, just getting our kids ready before we go into any kind of tournaments. So whenever we get that green light, we're going to have 2 to 3 weeks where we're going to practice, that way when they're ready for tournaments, we're not getting somebody hurt, and that's for me is my main thing is I'm not going to get any kids hurt, because my goal is to, promote them into the college ranks and, I don't want to go somebody in front of a college coach who's not ready. So we want to make sure that's getting ready for that.
Correct. Yeah. And Andrew, you could probably add on to that. We were talking the other day. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So what is your strategy in terms of, you said like 2 to 3 weeks in terms of getting them ready? What does that work out as, and what is a day-to-day operation that you'll do in terms of trying to prepare them for tournament time?
We'll start, just like the basics. We'll start getting out there, start doing a little bit of conditioning. We'll get them start throwing their little throwing programs. Just go do different normal things that a team would do to get ready for a season. Have pitchers throw light bullpens to work their way up to 45, 50, 60 pitches. Because for me, in the summer, anyways, I don't throw anybody more than 75 pitches because I'm trying to save people's arms and their health. And my main goal is to obviously get kids into college and not win championships. So it's more me being able to manage that and everything else. So what we'll do the first 4 or 5 days is really just get them out there, start throwing, get a little ground balls. Maybe not even throw the baseball for a couple of days. Just get ground balls, get back in the routine of everything. Take live BP from the coaches or whoever we can get out there to throw some BP and that kind of stuff, just to really get them back implemented into baseball season. Because everybody can hit in the cage or they can throw at home, but it's different whenever you step into a box and you see somebody throwing 85, 86 mile an hour to, your dad front tossing it right in front of you, or, whatever it might be. So we'll go back to the basics and kind of just work our way up so everybody's ready.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, it's the ramp up phase that you want to have. And I know we've talked about that before, David and Andrew as well. That's why we were curious your thoughts on that, because there are word on the street. I've heard from different people that their organization's ready for the high school season to get over so they can hit the ground running, meaning they just want to go play. And it's like, man, they're going to need a month. That 2-3 weeks is about right. And you're right. It's get back out there, because this is different. This isn't like just taking a time off and then maybe going to practice here and there. So a lot of kids aren't and maybe can't do anything.
Exactly.
You can't just go out on the street and hit grounders and stuff. So you have to get really creative at home with a tennis ball on a wall or anything like that outside, and to get them ramped up and back in the baseball shape and stuff. Andrew, anything you want to add on top of from a strength and conditioning side, from your experience, working with college programs and stuff in the past, and then what you do now, kind of things that, baseball, softball players, all those overhead sports can do?
Sure. I mean, there's plenty, honestly, and I think David hit on the head. You got to go back to the basics, and what better time to learn the basics, than now. Don't have the stress of going and I got to pitch tomorrow. There's a lot of time, in between the next time you're going to see the mound or the batter's box, So it's just a good time to take care of yourself, work on mobility. It's not all about strength. If we could all have med balls, I think, I'm interested. That was kind of where my mind went. I don't want to make this a strength thing. No. That was kind of where my mind went in terms of, if they can't throw a baseball or something, maybe using a med ball, but that's, again, for some fortunate individuals, but throwing anything, right?
Sure.
If we do something, it's all good. But no, I mean, I'm interested, David, in maybe what kids can do in terms of trying to further their position beyond the baseball field at this point. And how can they, set themselves up for success outside of baseball?
In terms of like the recruiting side, or just...
Right, in terms of the recruiting side, how can they be top notch in terms of academics and making sure social media is clean or whatever? What kind of things have you experienced?
Yeah, most definitely. In my experiences, I've been talking to thousands of coaches across the country. And the first question that usually comes out of their mouth is, "What's their grades like?" Second one's usually, "What kind of person are they?" And then they'll get into the other things. So really, academics is really, I've always done this even when I was at Armwood. is academics, 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 because academics is going to get you where you're going to go. Baseball might, get you somewhere, but academics is going to get you where you're going to go for the rest of your life. There's only 6% of college baseball players that ever make it to the major leagues. That's it. And there's millions of base guys. So really for me, I always pound on my kids the importance of academics, getting the SAT, ACT prep, make sure you're getting good grades on that. And then it comes into, having some kind of video put together. There's a lot of kids out there that, they do hit in the cage. They do hit, wherever right now. They could be taking video clips, and putting it together so they have something that they can send to these colleges, because right now, as you know, NCAA is in a dead period until May 31st. So that means no colleges can come out and perform in anything. And obviously, with what's going on anyways, they can't come anyways. But it's just that deadline and different things that people need to understand that, hey, there's different ways than just playing on a baseball field to get recruited. And it goes way deeper than I'm going to go to a prospect wire, perfect game tournament, or any kind of showcase. There's a lot more that goes into it. From my standpoint, in the 3 years that this is starting my third year, and I've had already 72 kids already commit in the first 2 years in my organization, is because my connections and kind of how I teach my kids how to approach the college recruiting. Now with everybody getting their year back, the whole recruiting is going to get a little crazier. So I got to tell kids, hey, when your grades come to the point, you got maybe a kid that might be the same ability as you, but at the same time, you have a 3.9 and he has a 2.5. So a lot of times they'll look at that and say, okay, I'm going to take the 3.9 kid over the 2.3, even though that kid 2.3 might be a little better. So, obviously having a video that you can send out. If you don't know how to send an email, you can always reach out to, myself, because I help, kids even without being in my organization. I posted maybe 100 videos in the last month, just by kids sending me emails and saying, hey, coach, can you, promote me on Twitter? Because I'm followed by thousands of coaches on there. So little things like that, and having somebody that knows what they're doing, or if you don't know something, reach out, always reach out to somebody that might know, so that's my standpoint is academics has always come first, no matter what, and then the other part of it, a piece of it, having some kind of video, learning how to speak to coaches. My main thing is you might not be interested in a coach, or a school, or for a particular school. I always tell my kids, hey, have a conversation with them. Learn how the process, what kind of questions they're going to ask you. What kind of, answers you're going to come up with for them. Because every coach is going to kind of ask you the same questions. So just learning, and you never know that coach that you might not like at, say, I'm just going to throw a school at University of Florida. You don't like that school for some reason, and that coach goes to, Virginia Tech, where you're going to be, play. You got to build those relationships. Don't knock that door down or whatever to make sure that barrier is still available for you, maybe down a year or two if you go to a junior college or, whatever it might be. So I always say build a relationship with as many coaches as possible. And then I say it comes down to, hey, my main goal is to find schools for my kids is 1, academics, 2, are they going to get playing time? And 3, is it financially affordable for their families? So we kind of go through that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I can probably go on more, but I'll probably stop a little bit there. So
yeah, it's there's a lot of moving parts to the recruiting process, and I've always learned over time that kids need the proper adult guidance and the right information from adults, and adults need to be properly educated on the process just as much as the student athletes, so that they're not steered down the wrong path and stuff. So it's, it's good to have somebody like yourself in the area. And so you were saying 3 years. What about like numbers wise? How many teams did you start with? How many teams do you have now? And if you probably do, you mentioned 72. kids that committed and stuff. How has that progressed from year one, that first team, to the teams now, and how many kids have committed and then obviously then signed and gone off to college?
Yeah, I mean, our first year, we ended up having like 30, 35 kids commit. We had 3 teams. We started with 3 teams. We did a 16 and 2 18s. So we started with that, and then our second year, we ended up having 7 teams. We had four 18U teams, 2 16s, and I had a 13U last year. And we had 40. I think there's 40 kids so far that has committed, and there's a few more that have offers and interest, and they're just trying to make that final decision. Where they're supposed to be taking tour, campus visits and all that kind of stuff right now. They just obviously can't. So it's a little different situation now as well with that.
Very different.
This year we're going to end up having 7 or 8 teams. Depends on, we might going to do something for our 2020 class. So I threw it out there already for a little bit, but anybody, it's a 2020 that wants to get some reps, before they go to college, we're going to kind of do something, kind of local, for them, and, kind of keep the cost down as much as possible, but, give them something that they can, go into college and be ready instead of just staying at home and trying to work out the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously all this is predicated on when the stay-at-home orders were lifted.
Yes,
we keep hearing about dates, May, June, sometimes longer. We don't know, but we're just assuming, we can get back to some sort of normalcy over the summer to discuss these kinds of topics and stuff. Obviously, it gets pushed back if nothing changes in society and stuff like that. But if we continue to adhere to the orders here in Hillsborough County and stuff like that, and people can not only get back on the ball fields, but a lot of people can get back to work and things that are normal, obvious stuff. It's good to know, like I said, to have somebody like yourself. Let me ask you this question, David. I know you were mentioning you had 2 18U teams at the beginning, and now you have more. Is it pretty common that kids won't really get a lot of interest till late, probably that senior year in high school, and then some kids could commit and sign late in their high school year and into that summer right after?
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I mean, there's those situations where the recruiting process have definitely changed over the years. There's some kids that are 24s that haven't even stepped on a baseball field in high school that have committed. So it's a little different. But for me, sure. I always tell my kids, look, even if you're a junior or senior, you still don't have any opportunities right now. There's still something out there for you. You just gotta maybe change your ideas of, hey, academically, or location, or, division, or whatever it might be. So just to give an example, my first year, I had a kid that didn't even play for me, but he called me in July. He actually played at Lato with Coach Pizio. He called me late July, and I knew a coach that was, looking for a shortstop and, everything else. And, make it long story short, he committed in one day. So it's just different situations for every kid. Every kid's different. So no matter what you do,
sure. Oh, absolutely.
It's totally different. I mean, you see all your friends committing, it doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity out there for you. So
that's right.
At least keep doing what you're doing, or find somebody that needs, like myself, that has a lot of connections, or, whatever it might be. Just reach out to somebody that can help you, get that out there. So,
yeah,
question for you.
absolutely.
So, in terms of ages of these athletes, like, are is it available for kids that are 16, or is this kind of they're going into college very soon kind of league? How does that work in terms of trying to sign up with Game Time?
Well, I mean, we got teams that are now 14U. So we got 14-year-olds, and then we also got 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds that come play for us. So really, I mean, we kind of do the high school base just because of my background and everything else. I've been asked to do the younger kids, and, it's something I'm probably going to think about doing later on. But, right now I just want to focus on these high school kids and making sure they get opportunities to play, in college. Because my main thing is we're not trying to win championships here. Yes, everybody likes to win.
Sure.
But my goal is to get them into college and further their education, or find them the school that they need, or whatever they looking at that point.
Correct.
Although you're fairly new, I'm guessing, right? You said with the 13U is fairly new.
Yeah, the 14U we had the 13 last year, but now they're moved up to 14.
Now, what do you expect? Do you expect those kids that are around it more frequently, more for a longer duration? You think they're going to have a better opportunity moving forward?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, a lot of times you see, like, the big thing in college baseball now is the transfer portal. Everybody wants to transfer. And that's kind of the same thing when it happens in travel baseball as well. Say they might start with me, but then they go to a different organization or whatever it might be. But sometimes they think the grass is greener somewhere else, but then they'll come back to that organization or myself and say, hey, can you help me out? And that's going to work for me. I'm a nice guy. I'm going to help them out. But there's a lot of people out there who would just say, hey, you left my organization. You're gone. I don't need to talk to you. So, for me, I try to help as many kids without, charging thousands and thousands of dollars of, doing what I do. The other side of my business, I started a recruiting service. So, I did that for 2 years, from 2016 to 2018. It's still going on, but I kind of used my recruiting background to help my organization and my kids get committed. So every senior that has come through my organization so far has gone on to college or had opportunities.
Correct. And a lot of the kids were late bloomers. You notice too, they're not always 14, 15, 16. It doesn't mean they're not talented. It's just they're not at the recruitable stage yet. Because a lot of those schools don't recruit till later on as well. So, Dave, you got any plans for other sports in the future outside baseball?
I know you and I have had a few talks. I know we talked about doing possibly softball. I've talked to some high school coaches, basketball coaches I know as well.
Sure.
So could possibly get into that. But right now I'm trying to just, focus on baseball, and, as softball starts, it's kind of the same, great, but the other sports I'm going to kind of, hold off on it because, it kind of gets a little crazy.
Yeah. That's where you need to have the help and stuff. I know that's what you and I talked about, softball, with my background and stuff. So,
yeah, most definitely.
And then basketball down the road. But yeah, you have plans as an organization, but you need, and again, it comes down to relationships with high school coaches around here, all the great families and things like that. And, and staying close to Stream Life Tampa, because we can all, always help each other out, and being somebody that's very focused on the kids and helping kids. And that's what you're doing. And that's what, when we're broadcasting games, it's really about the kids. It's like we've said, we don't charge anything to the schools, the parents or anything. We work with our sponsors. And we try to grow that. We've got some plans for the future in the summer. Again, once we can get back to the normal livelihoods here.
We definitely have some plans for the summer, so it's going to be
there's a lot. So I know tonight we're, like any other broadcast, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can follow us, our Facebook page, Stream Live Tampa, YouTube channel, Stream Live Tampa. You can subscribe for free on that. And then on our Twitter account is @StreamLiveTampa. Andrew, any more questions for Dave? Because I think we were going to go about 30 minutes tonight, and then get planning for the next show whenever we can get that back on air. But we wanted to get in front of everybody again tonight with the Zoom. It's the end thing to do right now with everybody being home or doing Zoom meetings and calls. So. Andrew, anything you want to add?
No, man. Thanks for your time, David.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Like I said, we had, it's just up in the air. Everything, we have plan A, plan B, plan C right now for what's going to happen. Sure. We just don't know, so we do have different ideas and different plans. So. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure this won't be the only time you'll be with us. I know, before
things got canceled in the high school spring season. We talked about it, Saladino tournament, sitting down doing a couple innings. We'll do that in the future. And,
most definitely.
Yeah, and we'll you and I have talked about the game time prospect softball for the summer and in the future as well. So we'll stay in touch with that. But in the meantime, we'll be doing these types of calls. We'd like to have or these types of shows through the Zoom call format, and different high school coaches in the area, have them come on, especially talk about their seniors. Everybody's going to want to talk about their senior class because they're not getting the same experience that I know, David, you experienced, I did, Andrew, anybody else. It's a little bit different. So we want to make sure that we give them some recognition online too. One other thing, I know you had mentioned about going around to different campuses in the summer. I know you've been promoting your tour. Before we sign off, you want to tell us about your tour this summer?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, definitely. What we're doing this summer is we're going to Gardner-Webb, we're going to University of Tennessee, we're going to Virginia Tech, and have 3 big showcases. Right now we have 194 coaches that are going to be at those 3 showcases. So it's a good opportunity for those 2021s, 22s, and even some of the 23s to get in front of these college coaches and that kind of stuff. We're also going to visit 10 other schools. We're going to take a charter bus, hotel, everything's included, in a price that we're doing it for. For me, everybody's a good baseball player down here, but there's opportunities for out in different locations, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this. It's open to anybody and everybody. So if anybody's interested, they can contact me as well. But like I said, it's a big thing for the summers. We're going to take my organization up there, and we're going to get in front of 193, 194. Who knows? We could have 100, 225 schools by the time we get up there. So my thing is, again, exposure for my organization, and this is kind of how I like to do, things and help kids and that kind of ways too. So, this tour this summer, I mean, if you can afford it, I know that financial stuff's going on. It'd be a great opportunity for anybody that's uncommitted to look at it for sure.
Sure, and even in the future, the concept is good because you don't get lost playing in endless tournaments with coaches that are at them, and this way is a little more personable. I know, my opinion, I always think the camp format is a better way